Welcome. This is Sergeant Beast Larson. Where is Coach Travis Turner? Let's wait and get a few people to get on here. We're going to talk about somebody harming children, having possession of naked children, contacting children through electronic devices. Where's everybody at here? Come on, let's talk about this. Where is Coach Travis Turner? Is he still in Virginia? Is he still alive? Come on, let's have it. Log on, let's talk about it. Well, there's about 3 theories, and depending on his knowledge of cold weather survival, nature, woods, law enforcement, evidence, those things come into play, and it will determine where he's at. He's been missing since November 20th. Now, coincidentally, 2 other high school football coaches were charged previous to his disappearance. And they talked about it. One of them was even from the rival school. Yeah, they're a rival in football, but when you're an adult and you're involved in this child pornography world, they're not rivals. So for other coaches to be, in that same district, same region, and then they disappear or they get charged and now he disappears. What do we think about that, folks? Well, there's 3 things. Let's go. Come on, get on here. Let's debate. Number 1, he took his rifle. No ID, no anything. He went off into the woods that he's familiar with, spent his last few moments, and he is now deceased by his own hands. Number 2, the option is he knew this was coming. He's got an underground bunker somewhere. Not hard to do. Cave, tunnel, not hard to do. Have something dug out. He's held up. Got him some rations. Got him some water, stuff like that, survival stuff. Electricity heater, solar stuff, solar panel, and he's alive and hiding. Number 3, he got into a vehicle and he's got an accomplice. He's in a vehicle, jumped in a trunk and took off really fast, and he's far away from his Virginia home area, and that's why they can't find him. Yeah, the drones, they're searching the woods around his house. The drones are searching around the house, canines, etc. But if he was smart and he fled the area and he got, say more than 10 miles away fast, they're not going to find him. And thanks for joining, folks. Put some comments on. Hi. Sugman is my bias. Thanks for joining. There we go. Thanks. We got some folks on here now. 3 options. What are we talking about? Coach Travis Turner, wanted. Poster, I posted it up there. $5,000 reward. He's wanted. There's 10 warrants for him. 5 are for possession of child pornography, child porn images. Willow June Lawrence, hi, welcome. 5 counts of possession, 5 counts of soliciting through electronic device. Capybara, thanks for joining. So where is he? Where's the coach? Where's the high school football coach? Got 10 warrants for these terrible crimes. Children involved. As I just said, the 3 options. He took his rifle, no ID. He doesn't need ID. If he's got an accomplice that's taking him, help get away, you don't need a driver's license because you don't want to get caught. He's going to lie about his identity. Number 1. Number 2, you can't use your credit cards. You can't use them to get cash even. So he doesn't need anything in his wallet. He doesn't need that stuff. So, hello, Willow. Thank you. He doesn't need any kind of anything. He took his rifle and he went. The rifle, is it to take his own life, or is it to help him carjack and facilitate his escape and get away from the immediate area? And as long as he's got a rifle, he can get some money from several people that he robs and then just continue in life. Maybe he had the backup plan the whole time. I'm a retired police officer. Thank you. And it seems that people committing these types of crimes against children always have a plan B and a plan C. They always have more than one plan. So he could have had some money stashed somewhere, fake ID already. That's why he doesn't need his wallet. You know, his wife, and you feel bad for the family, feel bad for the spouse and the children, but she's in denial. Oh, he didn't do anything. He's perfect. He's great. You want to think that. I've been married 30 years. My wife is my queen. She's everything. But, you know, she's got to look at the facts of this. They've presented this information. She's got to start to raise her eyebrow like, dude, I really know him. She needs to look a little bit deeper in some stuff. Dustin, how you doing? Dustin, what do you think? You got a ball hat on. What do we think? Football coach. 5 counts, 5 warrants for using an electronic device to communicate with children. 5 warrants, 5 counts of possession of child pornographic material. Now, here's another topic that they're not talking about. It's where is he? Is he alive? Is his wife helping him? Is she hiding him and everything like this? But, 2 other football coaches in that same area previously charged, and then he disappeared. He disappears. What about the problem we have in the school system, as well as other jobs, daycares and stuff that people work around children? Dentists are doing this, doctors, being charged too as well. Let's not leave them out. But, there's the argument, the debate about homeschool. Do you homeschool? No, they're not socializing. They need to be with other people. Okay, so you send your child to school, and then they end up with a coach that's the pedo, and he's got this stuff, and he's now looking at your child, like your child could be the next victim. So this is this big debate. This is very. Yes, Willow. Thank you. I'm glad, and it is very sad. So, well, Willow, I'll tell you this. Besides police, I retired. I worked in a prison. If you're still here, hopefully to listen. And we had a lot of these, and I can tell you that they do, and maybe he knows this, they do get beat up a lot. Physical harm does come to inmates that hurt children, that hurt women and children. They do get the punishment. Even if it's in the child when they're going to get food, inmates, they put stuff in the food when they know there's one of these child assaulting kind of people. They physically hurt them. They jump them in the showers. They jump them on the sidewalk. And it's terrible. So that's why I don't know. I'm leaning towards he took his own life because he doesn't want to risk going somewhere else. Say he goes on the run. Say somebody, accomplice, and he did get in a trunk and hide, and he drove 2 days. He's in Arizona. He's in the heat. Eventually, he's going to get caught, and he's going to know. He's always thinking about Bubba or the booty bandit, depending on what part of the country you're from. He's afraid to get arrested because the booty bandit was going to get him, drop his drawers, and enact some revenge on him. So I really think that he is not alive by his own hands. Maybe he went off and just to make peace on the top of the mountain, and that's it. I don't know. He his wife, who they've been married a long time, been a teacher over a decade, and it is troubling. It's troubling to everybody around him, to the kids. And here's another point of this. I have PTSD from, and a lot of this, it comes from the victims I've seen in my law enforcement career, and it's sad. But you don't really think about it when somebody gets hurt, when there is a victims like this. He solicited 5 counts of soliciting. He's trying to reach these kids. So he's reaching kids that have already probably been reached before. That's how he got their contact information. So you feel bad for these kids, number one, that are going to grow up the rest of their life, but it also affects the parents and siblings of somebody who is sexually assaulted. That is very hard for the rest of the family to deal with. It is troublesome. You got to think beyond on just the victim, as well, because the victim needs family for a support group, right? They need someone to lean on. And the person they're leaning on is going to be traumatized. Yeah, and it's just a whirlwind. It's not just a perp. It's not just a suspect and a victim. It's a whole lot of people that get involved, and traumatizes a lot. Accidental death traumatizes a lot of people. Natural cause death will traumatize a lot of people. So it really is. And thanks for sticking with me there, Willow, and trying to get some more comments from some other people. They're just watching and listening, looking at your comments. But you know, where does his wife go from now? Everywhere she goes, the whole town, it's a small town. Everywhere she goes, everybody's like, "Oh, we're sorry. Where's your husband?" Or your husband's a piece of. She's going to get one of those two things. She's going to end up having to pack up and sell the house and leave, most likely, not live in that community. And a lot of times, then the wife has to change her name, and the kids are older. But what do? What do you do? Change the name and you go. And then forevermore, you're living with this. Hey, I was with this person. I was over here. I was there. Person has to start all over again. What about the wife? What about her? Name, social security number, job, resume, all that has to change. It's going to follow her as well. So what he allegedly, notice I didn't say what he did. I said allegedly. What he allegedly has done is ruined her life as well. And then she's got to pick up the piece. His parents, her parents, any of their siblings, cousins, and everything. And then it's going to be something that one day when he is found, or if years go by and he's not found and things get presumed, there's going to be a TV show and a movie about it. And they're going to have to relive it over and over. This is the next part of the family of the victims. Elite 5-6. Thanks for joining. So it goes on and on and on. And then, I don't have any of my family that's been on a TV show or a movie made about them, but I couldn't imagine living through this in 2025. And then, of course, movie places are quick. 2 years later, all of a sudden, on the big screen, there's a story of your husband, your father, your brother, in a situation like this with this allegations. Then what? Then where do you go from there? Yeah, it is. It is tough. And, I think most families have somebody, looking at statistics, they talk about women being assaulted, men being assaulted, children being assaulted physically or sexually, and things get broke down 1 in 3, 1 in 4, 1 in 4. When you really look at it, every other family has somebody that's been a victim of something. And depending on what's going on, and it's really hard. Here's another point I'm going to throw in. Here's another twist here, Willow. If you're under 18, it's really, really hard to get psychological help. And I can tell you this because I had a daughter that went through something very bad. And every time she'd go to the counselor, and we go to family counseling, 2 or 3 visits later, it's a new counselor. They left. New job. So there's no psychological help. Then when you're an adult and you have insurance, if you're an adult and you can go in and say, I have depression, I have panic attacks, I have anxiety attacks, I'm bipolar, I'm schizophrenic, and there's insurance or state insurance, then you can go as an adult and get all the visits in the world. Guess what? I've got PTSD. I've got 2 doctors, one of them from Mayfield Clinic that did neck fusion that says I have severe PTSD. And guess what? I can't find psychologists now that'll talk to me. Somebody that has experience. I can't go to a psychologist that is straight out of school and has a master's degree, 1 year experience, clinical experience, and no life experience. You're not going to talk to me about the death I've seen and been around. I'm not wasting my time talking about that with you. So then here's the trouble. Who counsels and helps people anymore? Health insurance, girl forgets all the money. It's been, elite, I'm sorry. Thanks for sharing. I know sometimes it's hard to talk about family. I'm sorry. Thank you, Willow. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I do talk about a lot of self-defense techniques, fighting techniques. I'm an influencer for some different companies. One of them is, about firearms. One of them is about body armor, predator armor. A company I talk about that has brass knuckles, mace, different types of knives. I post links. I'll do that when I get done from here. And, you can never have enough self-defense, but I talk about that. Thank you. Thank you, Willow. I talk about a lot about things, even just, I taught police how to fight. I taught police how to protect herself. But a part of the fighting is mental and it's awareness. I talk a lot about awareness and distraction techniques, how to really get people distracted and off balance without ever physically touching them. If you go through some playlists, there's one that's called Civilian Defense Techniques, and it's got some good information. I do have a video where I punched a hole in a watermelon just for the fun of it, but it's kind of like just putting what you've learned together and testing it every now and then. But please don't go punch a watermelon tonight. I can tell you the rind is really thick and it's hard to do. And the first time I tried it, I didn't do it. I had to wait a month and come back and do it again. I had to get mean and mad before I punched a hole in it on my second attempt. But I do have some good videos that I talk about a lot of things. I think the rush to have this conversation. Oh, that's okay. I think a lot of people have come and gone. I'm about to wrap this up, Willow. Before I go, if you want to share your opinion, what do you think happened to the coach that ran off into the woods? I'll wait a minute to see if you want to do that, and then we'll wrap it up. That's kind of like half smile and half grin, because it is a tragic story. Of the three options I said, self-harm, hiding out, or completely fled the area to change names in a different state. I think that he's taken his self. Okay. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the comments, everybody. For Willa June Lawrence, thanks for being there. Thanks again, Elite 56. I'll be back before Christmas. You'll see me again live. I took a little bit of a break and I did some painting of pictures from my podcast, Painting for PTSD, and I'm getting back a little bit more on social media again. So I'll see y'all soon. Have a great night.